We will start with the plant kingdom. We have been living in an ecosystem having a variety of plants. And now we are going to learn the properties of these plants. The first property is that plants are all multicellular organisms. There are no unicellular plants, which means they are all made up of millions of cells and not from one cell. Next, we will learn how plants get their food. Inside the plant cell, there is an organelle called a chloroplast. The chloroplast contains a pigment called chlorophyll, which gives plants their green color. Chlorophyll absorbs energy from the sunlight and makes the plant undergo a process called photosynthesis. This process converts inorganic molecules that are found in the soil and supplied to the plant through the roots into organic materials like carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are that food that plants make for themselves, using sunlight, using water from the soil and inorganic materials, using chlorophyll inside of their chloroplasts, and using carbon dioxide, because they need a carbon source to make the organic matters. This inorganic matter that gets converted to organic matter by plants gets stored as starch, cellulose, or sucrose, which are different carbohydrates. Starch is stored inside the plant cell as nutrients. The cell wall of plants is actually made up of cellulose, so the cellulose goes to the cell wall to make more cells. As for sucrose, which is a type of sugar that we actually use, it is stored in fruit and other plant organs. As for sucrose, it is stored in fruits and other parts of plants. Sucrose is actually the sugar that we taste when we eat fruits. Plants undergo photosynthesis to turn inorganic materials they get from the soil into organic materials like sucrose, which they store in their fruits, and that is how we taste the fruits. For example, let's take the flowery plant. Let's take the example of a flowery plant called the pea. It has white flowers and it is pollinated by insects. The insects transfer pollen from the male flower into the female flower, which makes a pea. The second example of plants is the maize plants. The maize has a male plant and a female plant. The male plant has the flower, and the female plant has the fruit, which is corn. Pollen grains are transferred by the wind from the male flower to the female plant to give the corn. And now we have learned some properties of plants, like their multicellularity, how they make food by photosynthesis, how the cell wall is made up of cellulose, and how they produce and how they reproduce, and a quick overview on their reproduction.